Now, after completing this chapter, which is on Venturi meter, orifice meter, pitot tube and orifice, we are going to discuss another chapter. It is on pipe flow. In pipe flow, we all know that water is transported from one end to another end through pipes. Oil is also transported from one end to another end through pipe. Gas is also being transported from one end to another end. In our body also, the blood is transported from one end to another end, one point to another point through veins and arteries. And similarly, in case of the air conditioning or heating, whether it is cooling or whether it is cooling or heating, this fluid is transported from one end to another end with the help of pipes or with the help of some other type of channels. May not be circular one, may be having the rectangular shapes or other type of shapes. In this type of design, we must know what kind of loss is being taking place. Once we know that what kind of loss is being taking place and what is the magnitude of that loss, then we can calculate that how much power is required to maintain the flow rate through the pipe, whether it is lubricating oil, whether it is oil, whether it is gas, whether it is water. We know that when water is coming to our houses through different networks, to maintain the flow rate in the water which is coming in our houses or hostels, we require to have a pump. Now, rating of the pump is decided on the basis of certain calculations. Those calculations are done with the help of certain relationship for finding out what should be the size of the pump, whether it is must be of 5 kilowatt, 10 kilowatt, 20 kilowatt or whatever it is, right. So, we must know that how much loss or how much energy is required to maintain this flow rate through this pipe. So, for that we must know how to do it. So, for that we have two methods. One method is experiment, conduct the experiment and find out the head loss and correspondingly decide the rating of the pump. Another way is to do it analytically, right. So, with the help of analytical approach, we can do this exercise for finding out the rating of the pump for maintaining the flow rate through particular kind of network. This was studied first by assuming this as a viscous flow. So, we are going to discuss a viscous pipe flow, right. In this viscous pipe flow, let us assume that in this figure we want to supply liquid from one location, which is here, to this location. This is our inlet, this is our outlet. For this, we require to have a pump, we require to have certain piping network, and we must know that when fluid is flowing from this end to this end, how much energy is required, right. So, for that we must do certain calculation and then we will decide that what should be the size of the pump, right. So, for this purpose only basically we are going to do this exercise and we will try to find out the head loss. To understand the difference between the pipe flow and open channel flow, we have these two figures. In this figure number 1, we have a fluid flowing through this pipe, and in this pipe this fluid is fully filled in this pipe, and here we have a pressure difference between 1 and 2. Because of the pressure difference there is a flow. So, it means that in case of pipe flow there is a pressure gradient. What is pressure gradient? It means there is a del P over del X, right. This pressure must be different than this pressure, only then we have a fluid flow through a pipe. In this case, the gravity also can be important, but it is not only gravity because of that fluid is flowing. Fluid can flow upward also, fluid can flow downward depending on this pressure gradient, right. And in this figure, let us see, we have these two figures to understand the open channel flow. Open channel flow means the fluid is open to atmospheric pressure. Like in this container, which is basically pipe, which is half filled suppose, or 3/4 filled or quarter filled, and it is inclined, in that case there will be flow from top to bottom, because of which, because of what, because of gravitational effects. Because of gravitational effects it will come down, because if we have a weight of the fluid, weight of the fluid will act downward, and component of this weight will act in this direction. This component is responsible to apply shear stress on this fluid. Because of the shear stress it will keep moving. So here we don't have pressure gradient. Pressure gradient, what is the pressure here? Atmospheric pressure. What is the pressure here? Atmospheric pressure. So what is the gradient? Pressure gradient as such is 0. There is no pressure gradient, but because of the gravity there is a force acting in a downward direction which is responsible to apply shear stress on this fluid. Because of that it starts moving. Similarly, suppose we have a concrete spillway in which if fluid is more here, level is more, then this fluid will come downward, right, and this flow is also open channel flow. So with the help of this figure we have understood the difference between pipe flow and open channel flow. So let me again emphasize what is the main difference between pipe flow and open channel flow. In pipe flow the pressure gradient is important. What is pressure gradient? dP over dx, right. In open channel flow the pressure is atmospheric everywhere, but it is the gravity force which is responsible to move the fluid from one end to another end, and it will flow only in the direction of the gravity. But pipe flow, in pipe flow also the gravity affects the flow, but because of the gravity it does not move. The fluid may move upward, fluid may move downward depending on the pressure gradient in the pipe.